All right, cool. I'm gonna just review a couple things today. Number one, what to remember. Number two, what it is that Seth shared with us. And number three, money lines that hopefully will help you. And then number four, as a bonus, I'm going to share with you the videos and the pictures that I just have on cue at any given point. All of these things over the last couple of years have helped me continue to shorten my cookware scripts like more and more. But do so without sacrificing the value and the punch of the cookware, right? Sometimes what we do is we cut out our, parts of our scripts in order to save time, but we also sacrifice value, and then that leads us to have to deal with more objections, or leads us to have to, you know, um, deal with more B-backs or things like that. And so if you ever notice like, oh, I made an adjustment to my script to make it more efficient, but I'm also noticing now that I close less often, or I'm dealing like it's taking me longer in closing to actually get to the sale, that usually is as a sign that you made an error, or you cut out too much, or cut out the wrong thing. And so what I'm going to share with you today is what myself, Seth, and Bert have all learned, and Brian and a few other people that have contributed to my notes today. What we've all learned over the last few years and implemented over the last few years that we find gets us the same level of connection and value and punch with the client, without sacrificing the efficiency and the quality of our cookware demo, so that we're being more effective and taking less time with the cookware pitch, but at the same time getting the same or even bigger and better results. So first thing I want to start with is, what do we need to remember? So remember, there is always a process to sales, right? You can do all of these steps out of order sometimes, but you still have to complete all of the steps. So what are the steps that we have to go through to get to the sale? It's pretty simple. It's actually connect to the customer's situation, uncover their struggles, challenges, hopes, and or dreams, introduce solutions that solve those challenges, struggles, and meet or create the experience that they hope and dream for, connect to both logic and emotions, price position, close, handle objections, and then attempt to close again, right? And if you don't expect that you're going to get objections and that you might have to handle some objections, regardless of how amazing and excellent your demo is, then you are leaving stuff on the table. You're shooting yourself in the foot, because you won't close as many orders if you're surprised when customers want to think about it, or they want to walk around, or they want to, they have a holdup, or they want your card, or they want your number, or they want to call you back, or they want to go online, or they want to go to Costco, or they want to whatever, right? Fill in the blank with whatever you want. So just remember that you have to go through all the steps to the sale, and you have to be prepared and should expect to handle objections. And when you don't, be grateful, because that customer was like the perfect customer, which is rare. And always be prepared to handle objections, answer questions, and then have to close again, right? That's why the be-back script works so good. Also, another thing to remember, there are also some things that help speed this process up, which is the meat and potatoes of my message for y'all today. So I'm going to share some pro tips here. I want to dive into what we've got from Seth. If you didn't see, he already posted this in FSM Magic a couple weeks ago after I asked him for this, and a few other people were reaching out to him asking him cookware questions. And these are also things that I've personally used to close quite a bit of Cutco cookware over the last few years, despite not working as much as some of my colleagues. So from that said, with that said, I'm going to talk about Seth's tips first. So number one, use quick analogies, like works like nonstick without the toxic coating, and it cooks like an Instapot, but rather on your stovetop. So it's like having 9 miniature Instapots in your kitchen. So quick analogies like that, which I'll share a few more that I have found have helped me, are something that make it very relatable, but they're also like power-packed, fast statements, right? So it's like, yeah, so the cool thing about our pans, they work just like nonstick, but without the toxic coatings, and they cook just like an Instapot, but right on your stovetop. So it's like having 9 miniature Instapots in your kitchen. People, that's something right now. Most people use nonstick or an Instapot. So it just makes sense to create relatable analogies that they go, oh yeah, okay, that makes sense. And sounds cool. Nonstick without the coatings, that'd be great. And like an Instapot, except I have 9 of them, all different sizes for whatever I'm cooking. Number 2 thing Seth shared, having a cookware album to show how easy it works and cleans up, especially with eggs. People's biggest challenge that they experience with their pans especially when they use stainless or cast iron. The whole reason they even have nonstick pans in their cupboard is because of eggs. Okay. So you just want to be able to connect with that, show them how easy it is, show them how, how easy it is to really solve that problem makes a big difference. Number three, having rock solid confidence in the quality and the value of the cookware, the quality and the value that the cookware provides, and that it's the best thing they can invest in from Cutco, right? So I tell customers now, like, the cookware is actually our best product. It is also our most expensive product, but that is because it is the only product that can massively improve the quality of the food that you eat on a daily basis. And when you say that to customers, you kind of see their eyes like kind of light up and they look at it. And I notice, this is how I know this works really well for people. I notice when I say that, most people, especially the people who have the interest, the first thing they do is walk to the cookware, is grab a pan, is pick something up, is lift a lid, right? So you're connecting in a powerful, emotional, and logical way with a customer when they engage physically with the cookware after you say something like that. And that one is power packed and works really, really well. Fourth thing Seth shared, right? So he gave us 5 best tips to speeding up your cookware approach and being more efficient, more effective while still closing as much or more. Number 4 was using it a ton in my own kitchen so I can confidently talk about different experiences, but also help troubleshoot any issues they may have. Guys, I can't say it enough. The people who ask me the most cookware questions, the people who deal with the customers that want to return their cookware the most, the people who are not confident in how to avoid cookware returns in general, are always the people who don't use the cookware themselves. But the crazy thing is, like, it is so wild to me how often the people who don't cook with Cutco cookware are the ones who deal with the biggest issues because they can't relate to it, right? They don't use it themselves. How can you relate to it if you don't use it yourselves? I love it because I can talk about my wife's stories, my own stories. I can share pictures of stuff I've cooked, mistakes I've made, how I've easily cleaned things up. I show my videos of me cooking eggs, me cooking chicken, me cooking this, me cooking that, right? Why? Because I want my customers to know and feel that I actually know what I'm talking about. I'm not a sales rep selling a product that I've been told to sell. I'm a consumer and a customer of the product that I'm selling, and I love it because of the experience I've had with it. I've also had to go through the same pains and struggles and challenges, and I've found my way through overcoming those things as well. When you have that, you can relate in a way that you just can't relate when you've never had those experiences yourself, right? Because to you, if you've never had those experiences, if you've never burnt eggs or dealt with the really crappy messy pan, you've never overcooked Brussels sprouts in the oven and end up with a completely black pan that had a crust this thick on it, you're going to freak out when a customer has that experience. Heck, if you've never seen a discolored stainless steel pan in your own kitchen after you've cooked browned meat in it, it's got that white film on it, right? Or you forgot to clean the new pan with the vinegar before you cooked with it the first time, you got that rainbow tint on it. Well, of course, when a customer's like, "Oh my God, is this normal? I only used it one time. What did I do wrong?" And you're like, "I don't know. What do I do?" Of course, you're going to freak out about that. But to those of us that use them on a daily basis and have for years because we made the investment, we forced ourselves outside our comfort zones, and we got comfortable using the cookware, it's like, no big deal. This is easy to fix. It's going to take you 2 seconds. You don't even have to ask a mentor for advice. You literally just respond to the customer immediately with pictures and videos. And you offer to hop on Zoom if they can't figure it out and show them, walk them through it. You can go over to their house and confidently cook for them and make sure they don't return their cookware because you know what the heck you're doing. You know what the heck you're talking about. And number 5 from Seth, the last thing, knowing how to quickly navigate and explain the sets so I can get to closing faster. And this is one that the first time I heard Seth share it, I was like, oh, this is genius, right? And it literally, guys, we have 5 types of pans. Like, I literally go through the legacy set with customers and I'm like, so Mrs. Jones, do you want to see the different sets? They're like, sure, yeah. Okay, great. So this is the set everybody ends up with. It's the set everybody wants because it's the best set. And what's really great about it, it looks like a lot right here because we've got it all spread out and it's not stacked. But when you think about it and really look at the picture, it's actually just 5 types of pans. You have your frying pans, you have your saucepans, you have your utility pans, you have your accessory pans, and you have your family pans. And there's a small, medium, and a large version of each. So you have your small, medium, and large frying pan, small, medium, large saucepan, small, medium, large utility pan, your 3 accessory pans that go with the 3-quart saucepan, the large saucepan, and the large utility pan. And then you have your 3 family pans, the wok, the stock pot, the griddle. And when you can explain the entire legacy set in 30 seconds like that, it's like a game changer for customers. You get so many customers go, oh yeah, that's not that much. And then you show the picture. And I always tell them like, hey, my wife and I, we're tight on cabinet space. And so we don't have a lot of room to store things in our kitchen. I don't know if you guys are like us or not. And it's like 80% of people are like, yeah, I'm like you guys. And I go, and I show them the picture in my album of all of my cookware stacked in one cupboard. I go, this is this entire set stacked in one cupboard. And then I tell them, plus we have like 3 or 4 pans that we have 2 or 3 of because they're the ones we use the most. And they're all right there in that picture. And they're like, really? I'm like, I know, right? So it's actually going to save you cupboard space, not take up more cupboard space when you have the full complete set. Again, just easy, fast, simple ways to describe things where people go, oh, that makes total sense. Oh, that's me. Oh, that's what I want. Oh, that is interesting to me. Ooh, that's exciting. So now I'm going to jump into money lines. Okay. These are money lines. These come from Brian, Luke, myself, and Bert. So thank you to everybody that's helped contribute to this, whether it's me learning through like from you through osmosis or me actually reaching out to you saying, hey, what are some things you're doing now that are helping you sell cookware faster? And you responding to that. I appreciate you, your contribution and your time because you're going to help us all get better. But a lot of this is simply answering objections before they come up, but it's really powerful stuff. So first off, Mr. Brian Carter, thank you. Brian says, hey, just curious, how do you like to cook with your pans currently? Whatever they say. Great. Do that. And how do you clean your pans currently? Awesome. Do that too. We just find with these pans that a little steel wool and a little barkeeper's friend just make it that much easier to clean. So empowering people to do what they're already doing and helping them understand this isn't this big thing where you have to go through a 5-hour training and watch 100 different videos to get it right, just to make sure that your eggs slide out of the pan, right? When you do that, it makes it feel like it's that big a deal. And customers they go, I don't know if I don't know if I'm smart enough. I don't know if I'm fast enough. I don't know if I'm good enough to actually figure this out. You make it seem complicated, it's going to feel complicated. They're going to feel less likely to do it, right? Less like they want to do it. But when you make it simple, hey, whatever you're doing right now, keep doing it. However you clean them right now, keep doing it. Just add barkeeper's friend a little steel wool because it's not going to hurt the pans. It's just going to make it that much easier to work with. Brian says, hey, you don't have to change the way you cook, but if you're open to some new ideas, I think you're really going to love waterless cooking. You get more color, more flavor, more nutrients, and more texture out of your food. Talk about the simplest way I've ever heard of explaining waterless cookware right there. Bam. It's like no brainer. So, hey, you don't have to change the way you cook, Mrs. Jones, but if you're open to some new ideas, I think you're really going to love waterless cooking. You get more color, you get more flavor, more nutrients, and you get more texture out of your food. So I'm going to know this is a big win when someone like Bert goes, holy crap, dude, I got like a few extra money lines from this as well that are going to help me sell more cookware. So that's the real test of how good this message is today. So also from Luke, I got this from Luke years ago, and it's just been a game changer. I don't call our cookware, guys. Refer to our cookware as pots and pans. It just connects better, right? Hey, do you have the Cutco pots and pans like the Cutco pots and pans yet? Have you heard about the Cutco pots and pans? Hey, what's your pots and pans situation like at home? Most people don't call their cookware. Most people call their cookware pots and pans. Okay. So for me, I'm going to share some of my money lines here. Make things as relatable as possible, by the way. This is the most powerful thing I've learned how to do. Like Seth said, comparisons they already experience at home. So I'm going to run through some ones here. So it's not like fine jewelry, guys. It's like construction equipment, which means you can use it, abuse it, and it'll still show up every day and do its job perfectly. So this really handles the objection when people go, oh my gosh, I cooked a couple of times and it's got this little bit of staining in it. What do I do? Or, oh, I scrubbed it and it scratched the mirror polish on the outside. It doesn't look like new anymore. I'm like, I don't care, Mrs. Jones. It's just cosmetic. This is not fine jewelry. It's like construction equipment. It's made to be rode hard, put away wet, and pulled out the next day, and it'll work perfectly every single time. The nonstick stuff. The reason a lot of countries don't sell nonstick is because the chemicals they use to make the coatings are so toxic. And when you heat those coatings up, the chemicals they use evaporate. Your food is floating on top of that, absorbing those toxins, and then you're eating that. And that's just not good for your health. When I say this to customers about nonstick cookware, it is amazing the gross look faces that I get, the nodding, the oh, like you see the light bulbs popping off where they're like, oh, that makes a lot of sense actually. Like I never thought of it that way. And again, we need to connect in that way with customers so they understand why they need to get rid of their nonstick cookware. I literally say to customers, if they're like, I love my nonstick, I just bought it. I'm like, okay, cool. Well, just like any other nonstick pans, eventually, no matter what they tell you about those coatings, eventually they're going to start to scratch and scrape off. And they always nod. And I go, and when you see that, it's critical that you get rid of those immediately, because the moment it starts flaking off into your food, you start eating it, and that's heavy metals, and heavy metals never leave your blood system. And then they go, oh, like Brian's doing right now. He's like nodding right now. He's like, right? They do that. And when they do that, you know you're connecting emotionally with them and logically with them as well. So say this stuff, right? I love this one. This is a really good one to when you're setting the expectation that it's going to take a few cooks to get used to where to set the temperature on their stovetop, right? Like, hey, listen, I want them to know, like, hey, listen, the first couple of cooks, if you burn something, don't freak out. It's totally fine, right? If something sticks the first couple of cooks, no big deal. Don't freak out, right? That's the impression I'm trying to get with this one right here. Hey, you know what? It's like a new car, right? You get a new car, the first few times you drive it, everything's in a different place, and it feels a little weird when you're trying to find where's the radio and how do I adjust my seat and how do I adjust my steering wheel, whatever. But after a handful of drives, you love it and couldn't imagine driving anything else. It's the same thing with this cookware, right? Or with your new pots and pans from Cutco. It'll be a little bit different than what you're used to, but cook a handful of meals and you won't be able to imagine using anything else, right? Another one that I like to use when I'm showing the egg video to just really connect and sink this one in is I love to say to customers like, hey, here's the deal. You put your food in the pan and here's how you know it's the right temperature. You put your food in, and if it's smoking or burning right away, it's too hot. If there's no sizzle, it's not hot enough, right? And by the way, it's super easy to correct. So again, what are we always looking for? We're looking for the pan to be hot enough. That's it. So I love the analogy of it's just like using your grill or your oven. What do you always do with your grill before you put meat on the grill, JC? Right, you preheat it. And what do you always do with your oven before you throw a cake or a frozen pizza in the oven? You always preheat it. It's the same thing with your new pots and pans. You always preheat them. You want to get them nice and hot. And by the way, how you know they're hot enough? You're looking for the sizzle. If stuff smokes and burns, it's too hot. Just lift it up for a few seconds, let it cool down for a minute, and then put it right back on the heat. Okay, and you can turn that heat down a little bit. But when you, if you put it in and it doesn't sizzle and stuff sticks, then you know it's not hot enough. You need to crank that heat up a little bit and let it go a few more minutes the next time you cook, right? So we're just always looking for the sizzle. So if there's no sizzle, it's not hot enough. It's great. Here's another money line here, right? It's great because you can have the peace of mind knowing that this is the last set of pots and pans you'll ever have to buy. You can have the peace of mind knowing this is the last set of pots and pans you'll ever have to buy. It's really easy. Before you cook meat on the grill, what do you always do with the grill first? I already shared that with you guys, so I don't have to share it again. I'll just post it in the chat box here for you. So got a little ahead of myself there. So when you put meat or veggies or anything in the pan, you're always looking for the sizzle. If you don't hear that, it's not hot enough yet. I will say this a couple times to customers, showing a couple different videos, couple different pictures, different things like that. And then one other one that I do, just because I don't mind, like sometimes people get in the mindset of like, I don't want to say anything that would cause a customer to think that they might screw something up, right? Because that could cause them to not want to buy it from me. Well, guess what? In my experience, if I don't address the elephant in the room and I don't let them know, hey, you know what? You're probably going to screw something up the first couple times, and that's okay. It's easy to fix. You don't need to return it, right? So if I don't address that up front and I avoid it and beat around the bush and I'm not totally upfront and transparent with the customer, then here's what's going to happen. they're going to fuck shit up anyways. And they're going to eventually burn something. It's not going to go the way they want. And then they're going to be like, oh my God, this sucks. I want to return my pots and pans. And I want them to go, hey, no big deal. Josh told us this could happen. It's very easy to fix. So just address the elephant in the room. Be honest, be transparent, let people know, right? Let people know what's going to happen. So here's what I say. I just say, hey, if it smokes or burns when you put food in the pan, it's super easy to correct. Just pick the pan up off the heat for 10 to 20 seconds, turn the heat down a little bit. As soon as you take that pan off the burner, it's going to immediately begin to cool down, especially since you just put food in it. And then you just put the pan right back on and on the heat and you're good to go. That's it. Literally, that's all they have to do. It solves the problem just like that. So it's super simple. When I throw, and I do this all the time because I usually wait till the last minute to turn my heat on, right? I'm already all prepped and ready to go. Dinner, like Amy's ready. We're ready for dinner. I'm like, ah, crap. So I overheat my pan, right? Or I heat the pan up too long while I'm prepping everything and the pan is too hot. Either way, when I go into and I throw the butter in or I throw the chicken on the pan or whatever, it's too hot. Stuff starts to smoke, stuff starts to burn. I have to flip the vent fan on my stove. And you know what? All I do is as soon as I see that happening, like that black spot, that black smoke starts barreling up, right? And guys, I'm not talking about like Roger's bachelor party when I left the bacon on the stove and almost burnt the house down. Okay, chill out. Y'all settle down. All I do is I just grab the pan, I pick it up off the burner, turn that burner down a little bit, and I just hold it for 10 seconds or whatever. The smoke eventually just starts to fizzle out, throw it right back on the burner. I'm right back off to the races and nothing gets burnt. Right? Stuff still comes out perfectly cooked. It's not a big deal. And remember, guys, it's only a big deal if you make it a big deal. Okay. So we're getting in the last couple sections here. I want to share with you 4 things that Bert shared with me before he ran out the door this morning. So thank you, Bert, for just making my message that much better. And it's so funny. Like Bert's always innovating, always evolving, always finding the better way to say and do things. So check this one out. Hey, I don't know if you've thought about moving away from Teflon like a lot of others. ... And he just moves right in. Hey, I don't know. It's just that little like kind of toss it out there as a thought. Should they be thinking about it? If they're not, maybe they should be. If they have been, they're going to nod and they're going to connect and they're going to be like, actually, I have been, right? So I love this one. What I find most Americans do is every 3 to 4 years, they just light $300 to $400 on fire, like, and just watch it go away and say, I hope these don't flake and break. These are going to be the ones that don't ever flake and break. Then you know what happens? They flake and break, right? So just talking about non-stick pans, right? Every 3 to 4 years, you're just lighting $400 on fire, get the new non-stick pans, hope they don't flake and break. But guess what happens? They flake and break. And then this one here, another great money, like non-stick connection, sort of relatable line. You have to wonder what kind of coating they're putting on a pan for you to be able to put eggs on a pan and have it just slide off. Just dump that one out into people's brains and let them marinate on that for a second, right? And then I love this one too. And this is really one that Bert started saying a few years ago. Brian picked it up from him, shared it with me. I heard Brian say it a few times, saw it connect with customers. So now I've been saying it too, and people love it. And it's just, hey, you ever notice how every time you make bacon, there are always those little crusties and crispies basically burnt to the bottom of the pan? Customers are always like, yeah. And it's like, great. Guess what you can do then? Just use steel wool. Yeah, literally takes 10 seconds to clean the pan like new every time. It's crazy how easy it is. A metal scrubber is your best friend with these pans. Bam. Again, don't have any problem addressing the fact that you're going to burn things. You're going to get crusties in the pan. Like literally, guys, we are taking metal, putting it on flame, and then taking food and putting it on the hot metal to cook it as fast as we possibly can. Of course, you're going to burn shit. Of course, things are going to like go crazy and go awry. You're playing with fire and metal. That's what happens with fire and metal. So just be cool about it. Like, hey, this is no big deal. It's no big deal. It's business as usual. Super easy to fix. By the way, with nonstick, baby it, buttercloth it, like don't stack it, don't scrape it, don't scrub it, don't put it in the dishwasher. Definitely don't scrape it with anything metal at all. You have to basically baby it and basically use a buttercloth and like, make sure it's like fine jewelry, right? I love our stuff because it's like construction equipment. Like literally ride it hard, put it away wet, use it time and time again, and count on it to work exactly the same every single day. All right, I'm wrapping this up. Last thing I'm going to share with you guys is the videos and the pictures that I keep on deck, and I show every customer every time I do a cookware pitch, no matter what. Number one, a video that shows the water test. And it has to show what the water looks like when it evaporates. So you can be like, see how the water evaporated? Most people think that's hot enough because it evaporated, but actually it's not hot enough yet because it evaporated. And they go, really? And I go, yeah. And then check this out. Flip to the next video. Thank you, Bert, for the videos. By the way, there's a cookware album that has videos and pictures and all sorts of things. If Luke is with us or somebody's with us, we can share a link to that where all this stuff has been collected and collaborated and put together by people all over the country. But the next video is literally, now watch, throw the water in the pan and see how it just bubbles up and dances around the pan. It doesn't evaporate. That's how you know it's hot enough. And they go, oh, makes sense, right? So if it evaporates, it's not hot enough. If it dances, it is. Second video, eggs, multiple types of eggs. Have an egg video for scrambling, an egg video for frying, an egg video for omelets. Be able to show them everything and then ask, hey, well, how do you guys usually like your eggs? Great, cool. Let me show you a video. This is how easy this is. See how it just slides right out of the pan? See how there's nothing to clean, hot soapy sponge? See how I'm using that metal spatula? See how I'm stirring it around and there's no residue on the pan? See how I flip it over and there's nothing stuck? See how easy this is? See how easy, how easy, how easy, how easy? Do you see that? 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 3 simple rules. Preheat the pan. Use a little bit of butter. Use a metal spatula. It's that simple. Have pictures and videos that show, like have a video for the one pot meal so that you can show how that's cool. That's a really cool wow demo. Have a video and pictures that are before and after of cleaning. I love Brian's videos that he's posted hundreds of times all over the country and every single social media platform that exists, where it's literally like 4 videos all side by side. And it's like the crappy, stupid looking, like, oh my God, I'm going to have to throw that away pan. And then the water boiling in the pan. And then Brian scraping it with the spatula. And then Brian scrubbing it out with a sponge and showing the clean, beautiful, looks like brand new jewelry pan at the very end after he's used some hot soapy water on it. Browning meat. Another great video. I love Dowwood's videos that he's posted on like steaks, searing steaks in the pan, searing burgers, and browning hamburger meat. All of those are money. Browning chicken from Brian Carter, going from the stovetop, browning the meat, and then putting it in the oven and then pulling it out. Brian's got this like little 20-second video where that's what he does. And then he cuts it open when it's at the end with the Cutco turning fork and steak knife. And you just see the juice just oozing out of the chicken breast. And people are like, I've literally had customers where I look at them after showing, like, I'm looking at the video, see that, and I look at them and they're like, this is the face they're making. They're like, oh, and I'm like, yeah, it's that good. They're like, it's really that good? I'm like, it's that good. Rice Krispies, Bert and Coco, thank you for the Rice Krispie video. It's funny how many times Amy and I have made Rice Krispie treats and we've never videotaped it. Bert and Coco have videotaped every single step of Rice Krispie treats in the walk, and it's like an incredible video. People are like, oh my, every time I show it, they're like, oh my God, I never even thought about actually doing it on the stovetop with a wok. That just makes so much sense. How much is your wok? I'm like, yeah, it's so incredible. So I've had ladies be like, I never thought about using butter first. That makes so much sense. That would make it taste so much better. I've had ladies be like, I actually use 3 times as much butter as that one. I'm like, yeah, I know. My wife and I like to be a little healthy. So, and then pancakes. Thank you, Bert, for the pancake video. 4 perfect pancakes on that griddle, right? And it's just like watching them flip it over and they're perfectly browned. People are just like, oh, I need a griddle. It's so funny. Like, you have a good video when somebody sees it for 10 seconds and they go, how much is that? I need that. Can I get that too? Does that come in my set? What do I have to do to get that? Right? It's perfect. And then, of course, the last one, couple videos. Melting butter, I think, is a really good one. So they can see it spreading around the pan. You can actually hear the sizzle in the video. So I crank up the volume and I'm like, you hear the sizzle? That's the sizzle. If you don't hear the sizzle like that, when you put your chicken, your steak, your burgers, or any type of meat in, onions, when you put butter in the pan, if you don't hear that sizzle, the pan's not hot enough. They're like, okay, I get it. So I got to get the pan hot enough. I'm like, exactly, get the pan hot enough. How do you know the pan's hot enough? They're like, it sizzles. I'm like, high five. You're going to love these. Bam. Now we're into closing. And then the last thing is testimonials, right? I got a couple powerful testimonial videos. They're not even my customers. They're other people's customers that have been shared where they're at the booth talking about, I've had this cookware for 50 years. It's amazing. It's incredible. I love it. It's incredible. It's the best cookware ever. You should buy it because it's incredible. It still works perfectly 50 years later. I'm buying a whole set for my daughters, blah, 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 blah. That's what I got, guys. Hopefully it's helpful for you. Let's make our cookware demos more efficient, more effective by using the most relatable stories and money lines we possibly can to pre-handle objections and make things make sense to people in a way that they can relate to. And we'll sell a lot more cookware overall in a lot less time.
Money. Josh, you rode that talk hard and you put it away wet. It was a beautiful thing. It is the gnarliest sentence that's ever been said in one of our calls. Years ago, Bert and Seth really challenged the team. They were like, hey, it's not just enough to like have the videos, but like, why don't you have your own? Even if they suck, that's fine. Make your own just for the discipline of doing it, because it puts you a different level of understanding. And then you can still use the videos from other people, but force yourself to do it. So real quick, guys, in the chat, let's blow it up. Let's share a takeaway or what you're excited about selling cookware when it comes down to it. And guys, I mentioned this before. There's so many different albums and things of cookware videos that are great. I know I have mine. A lot of you guys have yours. This was that stupid chicken video Josh was talking about. It's the one I use probably the most often. And at Dangerfield, I would love to get together like new, updated, current best practices, because a lot of those videos and albums we have are just kind of like stuffed full of other stuff now, and maybe they're not as good or is not as current. So like, let's update that stuff. And by the way, if any of y'all needed an excuse to like have a great meal, look, I'm giving you an excuse to go make steak. Look at the crust I got on that steak. Look at that. Come on. All right. It's so good. Okay. We get multiple pans going because we got a family, y'all. That's why you need all those damn pans. All right. And just having like different stuff on there. And I would show you what that steak looked like when I cut into it, but Chelsea's on the call. I don't want to upset her because it was that good. Beautifully pink, edge to edge. But guys, even just different stuff here, like stuff like that. It's just this like butter, garlic, herb chicken bites that my kids love. So, you know, just using your cookware a lot, having it a lot, I think is key. Fire talk, Josh. Thank you for your preparation. Thank you for bringing all those notes together. And if you haven't already put them into one convenient doc, I can't wait for you to do that, because I know you will for us, because you love us.